Previously on Josh the Retro Dad.
So after 28 years, I finally have grabbed a Sega Saturn. It's Josh the Retro Dad. I got more Saturn games. We'll talk about that and a little bit more after this. If you want more gaming and collecting content, don't forget to subscribe to stay in the know. Before I go into my pickups and show you what I gotta take care of one little thing of business. I'll be right back. Dude.
I can relate to these guys. As Gizmo. Sounds like a Crossroads demon to me. Fight stages, Gizmo ends existence at Port Helmers Gremlins.
No more of them, I promise, at least in this video.
Just a refresher first, the Sega Saturn was launched with 6 titles and was officially discontinued in 2000. Only around 258 North American games were ever released. It's no exaggeration, I only knew one kid that had a Sega Saturn in the 90s. It's also true, I tried to find a port of House of the Dead. I've collected video games since I first received my NES in 1990. The Game Boy and the NES I chased for the last 30 years. I got games around the time I released my first Sega Saturn Adventure. In the first episode, I got 10 titles including Enemy Zero, Skeleton Warriors. I've been so busy I haven't had time to play more of those games. I plan on playing through Skeleton Warriors soon though. The Sega Saturn refilled my collecting life meter. I've had the itch for more Saturn. Like history repeating itself, I ended up getting 10 additional titles. Around the release of the first Sega Saturn Adventure, on eBay I found a cheap copy of Midway Presents Arcade Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection. It was only $10. Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection was released for the Sega Saturn in 1997. The game includes 6 arcade games made by Atari: Asteroids, Battlezone, one of my favorite classic arcade games. Love the green wire frames. I had this on Atari 2600 when I was a kid. Tempest, another great classic 80s arcade. Centipede. I used to play this all the time in a small arcade. Missile Command, another one of my favorite Atari arcade games, and even on the 2600. And Super Breakout. Now as you scroll through the different games you can pick through them, you can see their cabinets. I think it's kind of a cool little add-on. Maybe click on it, it shows this little animation, this little graphic. It's actually pretty cool even for 97. For $10, a really good deal. The next game also happens to be from the arcade. Bubble Bobble, also featuring Rainbow Islands. It contains the 1986 arcade hit Bubble Bobble. It also features 1987's Rainbow Island, in 2 forms, original and enhanced. This title was released for the Sega Saturn in 1996. Bubble Bobble plays well in the Sega Saturn. I just love Bubble Bobble. If you happen to see my 14 favorite NES games video I did a couple years ago, it was one of my favorite games as a kid. This game proclaims the true statement, addiction goes retro. At least it's not false advertising. It's a fun title and was released on the PlayStation as well. Rainbow Island can be played as the original arcade version or enhanced. I like Rainbow Island but I prefer Bubble Bobble. When the Sega Saturn was released in 1995, only 6 games were available at launch in North America. I have a few of those games from launch like Daytona USA. It was bundled with a 3 free game pack. There are 2 launch titles I want for the system. One is Panzer Dragoon and the other was Clockwork Knight. I got one. I found a decent price Clockwork Knight, available at launch in 1995. It's a platformer where you control a toy soldier. The graphics are good. They really do stand out for the system. The gameplay is fun and the goal is to reach the end of the stage before the timer expires. After doing some research, I guess they made the game a little harder for North American audiences. It's a fun Sega Saturn game. There is a sequel called Clockwork Knight 2. I haven't picked up that one yet. It is on the bootleg sampler. It seems to be exactly like the first Clockwork Knight. I really enjoy playing Clockwork Knight and the demo of the sequel.
The Sega Saturn is not known for having too many 2D side-scrolling games, so I heard about this next one. I found it interesting, so I knew how to pick it up.
Ashiel is a 2D side-scrolling platformer. It was released for the Sega Saturn in 1995. It was made using hand-drawn graphics. Not only is it a beautiful-looking game, it's rather unique for the system. You can attack and even throw enemies. I had a lot of fun playing this, probably just as much as the bird that follows Ashiel around.
Get away from me, you stupid bird! Quit following me!
Always want to get this next game. Ever since I learned I was on the PlayStation, for some reason I just never picked it up.
But I got it on the Sega Saturn now, Independence Day. ID4, Independence Day, released on the Sega Saturn in 1997. It's based on the movie. I have a huge soft spot for the movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the 90s. It's cheesy sci-fi action with great special effects that still hold up. In the video game, you are a pilot and you're flying through various missions to defend Earth. you might need to take out shields or do something similar. Most of the missions are cut and paste and feel similar to the previous one at times. It's sort of a mess graphically, and it could have been so much more. There are moments of fun in it. Still, you get to fight aliens and get revenge. I might have been disappointed picking this up in 1997 with high hopes of the game. I might be biased because I still really like the movie. The next Sega Saturn game I picked up is regarded as one of the best Sega Saturn games. Nights into Dreams. I got the big box version of the game with the optional controller, also called the 3D control pad bundle. Too bad the box wasn't in better shape, but I got it for a great price. Nights into Dreams was released in 1996. You could pick between two characters, Clarice and Elliot, to play. You transform into a jester-like entity and fly around. It's an action game where you collect items, fight bosses, and fly around. The controller was designed for Nights into Dreams. You don't need to use it. In fact, I prefer the controller I got with the system. The game really looks nice on the Saturn, it plays well too. With my purchase of Nights into Dreams, I also got Christmas Nights. Christmas Nights is a short demo with a Christmas theme. It was released in December of 1996. You play through the level with jingle bells playing in the background and everything is Christmassy. It's actually pretty fun. They'll definitely get you into the holiday season. Christmas Nights is not very common, and I'm actually shocked about the price. When I left the last Sega Saturn Adventure, I discussed wanting a few titles, Resident Evil and House of the Dead. They are spendy for the Sega Saturn.
So I got one of them.
My copy of House of the Dead is not complete, but the game is authentic. It comes in a custom clamshell. A full CIB House of the Dead is worth over $500.
I'd rather get a complete in the box copy of House of the Dead, but it was so expensive I couldn't find a decent price one at the time, so I figured I'll get a loose one for now and pick up another one maybe down the line that'll be complete in the box.
House of the Dead is a port of the arcade hit. The Saturn port came out in 1998. I believe the same month that the Sega Saturn was discontinued officially in North America. In House of the Dead, you shoot zombies and other creatures. Try to save people, and shoot more zombies. There are different paths to take. It's fun, and I'm glad to finally get House of the Dead, the original zombie killing arcade game. I even got this, a light gun to play House of the Dead or other shooters for the system. Now it feels closer to arcade action. I still like to use the controller. I'm just used to playing it that way. The gun is nice though. I got some comments about getting a saving device. I was recommending getting Action Replay, so I did. It's $20 to $50 less than the official backup RAM. The Action Replay is a great price and a great buy for what it does.
I love horror and survival horror, it's one of my favorite video game genres, and I knew I just had to get Resident Evil on the Saturn.
I got this for a steal. Resident Evil is ported to the Sega Saturn in 1997. It's a port of the first Resident Evil title, not the director's cut version. You control either Jill or Chris. The goal is to survive and find the truth about the mansion and Umbrella. It's true survival horror at its purest. You fight things that used to be people and monsters infected with the T-virus. Can't forget to mention, you gotta solve puzzles and gather information. The Sega Saturn got an exclusive monster called Ticks. They're basically reskinned hunters. Towards the end of the game, if you are Chris, you need to fight 2 tyrants. After you kill the one that kills Wesker, allegedly, you get to fight another one. Add more difficulty, you say. The original Resident Evil is a classic. The music, the gameplay, the horror. Love the game. Originally played this on a PC before I playing on the PlayStation. And now I'm playing on the Saturn. It is a good port of the game, but I'm used to playing on the PlayStation, and the controller for the Saturn throws me off a bit.
It's actually a little harder on the Saturn as well, I found. I think they threw a couple more zombies or hunters or other monsters. But it's a pretty good port.
I ended up getting House of the Dead and Resident Evil. Both were on my list in a short period of time. I couldn't be happier as a collector.
See? I'm happy.
I got one additional game, and it's sealed. There's a story behind this one.
Anyone rush open it up?
We'll get to that in the next episode. Sealed, collecting, WADA, and more. Sega Saturn Adventure Part 2B. Now that's a mouthful.
Well, that was my Sega Saturn Adventure 2A. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment, subscribe, like, and follow. Hope to see you guys in 2B. And we'll talk about that sealed game and what we're going to do with it. Have fun, go game, see you guys later. If you're into the unknown and paranormal, I have a new show coming out called Strange Occurrences. It'll be about strange occurrences I dealt with in life. Some episodes will even explore other stories, cryptids, ghosts, theories, and more.